Hey Chargers, this is Miss Hughes from the library. I was going to do my first lesson today on what is so special about nonfiction books. I am here by myself, so I'm trying to record and do my lesson by myself, so bear with me. Today we're actually going to be talking about that nonfiction is different from fiction. In a way that nonfiction is actually based on facts and it is used to inform people that are reading the books what is in it, and fiction is fantasy or false. That means that things that you read, especially the novels that you read in the library, are sometimes or most of the time fiction, and they are made up. We're also going to understand that nonfiction will play a role in your everyday life for years to come. And then we're actually going to identify some of the 3 main characteristics of nonfiction literature. If you look at my board that I've got behind me, on my easel, nonfiction books are actually all around you. It's not necessarily just social studies books or history books. Nonfiction books can also be magazines. Y'all know one of my favorite magazines, or my favorite Netflix, is Stranger Things. So I have a Stranger Things magazine. I have a book about Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, which is also one of my favorites that I like to read. And they can also be cookbooks. I have a cookbook here, The Pioneer Woman, that's got recipes in it. To be able to read a recipe, you have to understand how to follow directions, and it is a form of nonfiction. So what we're going to talk about now are the difference between how nonfiction textbooks look different from fiction books. And first of all, there may be chapter titles and section headers that preview information in a nonfiction book. When you look at a nonfiction book, each page usually has words and fonts in a variety of type sizes and fonts. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's not very big, but it's got a lot of fonts and it's got a lot of type sizes. And also, marks may be used in a nonfiction book to guide your punctuation. Also, if you look in a nonfiction book, this is one of my favorite animal books. I love to read about animals. This is a book about giraffes. It uses a lot of graphic aids. Of course, graphic aids include maps, charts, photographs, and it's usually included to illustrate or to summarize the information in the book. Let me look through here and see if I can find something different. Yes, here's a copy of what the giraffe's bone structure looks like. So this is also used, and it also labels the parts and shows you what exactly the bones of a giraffe look like. There may be more words that are unfamiliar to you in these books. I was reading last night this one on kids in sports, and it was talking about how one child in here was a triathlete. If you look in the story really quick, it shows you the word in dark bold print, triathlete. It shows you how to pronounce it, and then it also tells you what it means. The place where we find the definition for triathlete in a nonfiction book is in a glossary that is provided in nonfiction books. And then there is a great deal of information in nonfiction books that you may understand or you don't understand, and it's got certain places in our books that we're fixing to talk about where you can go and find out what those words mean if you don't know. You have certain clues in a nonfiction book that tell you what you are actually reading about. But nonfiction books are books about people, animals, places, events that are true. Nonfiction books have chapters, whereas fiction books also have chapters, but they did have different sets of vocabulary, and they also have 3 parts that we're going to talk about for nonfiction books. The first part of a nonfiction book is the table of content. This is a table of content. Looks like this. This is found in all nonfiction books. You have a table of content, and it tells the reader the names of the chapters of your book, and it also tells the page numbers where each chapter begins. You've also got a glossary in the back of your book. A glossary, of course, is another name for a dictionary. This is our glossary. And it's got the words that are in the book that are in bold-faced print. It's got every one of them in the glossary of this book, and it gives you the pronunciation of them, and then it gives you the definition. They are also in alphabetical order. And then lastly, you have an index. An index is in the back of a book. This is an index, what it looks like. An index is, or it lists the topics that are found in your book and the page numbers where each topic may also be found. And it is also organized in alphabetical order. So these are the 3 basic characteristics that we're going to talk about today of a nonfiction book. And what I want you to do after you've looked at the lesson today is I want you to email me or tell me on Facebook or however your parents will allow you, what are some books that about real people or places or animals that you're interested in reading or that you have already read. And then I want you to also tell me, do you like reading nonfiction books? Why or why not? And then, have you ever had to read directions for a board game or ingredients for a cookbook? Because the directions of a board game are also a type of nonfiction material, and ingredients in a cookbook, what you have to make things. So I know during this social distancing, you may have been playing board games. You may have been helping Mom in the kitchen with making supper or lunch, breakfast. So if you can, just shoot me a message and let me know what you've been up to as far as nonfiction. Go Chargers!